So, welcome to In the Room. I am your host, Artina White, and today our guest is going to be Miss Kenyette Missouri. Our topic today is going to be who cares? And the question is, who cares for you when you're going through something? You know, so often some of us are the ones that people go to, they depend on, they lean on for everything. But when we're going through something, do we have to wear a mask? Are we open to tell others what we're going through? Who cares for us? And then also therapy. Is it hard for us to trust a therapist? Because I know sometimes, and we're going to get into it later on in the conversation, but, sometimes it's hard to go and talk to somebody that you don't know. So again, the question today is who cares? And let's get started in the room. Hey, Kenyetta.
Hey, Artina, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm always good. Always good. Wonderful.
That's good. You had a happy Mother's Day? A good Mother's Day?
Yes, I did. It was amazing. I celebrated Mother's Day this year a little differently. We'll go into it, as we talk a little bit. But
Okay.
This was a good one for me. It was a big celebratory Mother's Day for me.
Well, it was for me as well. I got a chance to. I have three sons, ages 21, 19, and 18. Look, I'm like, God, I'm getting old. And my 21-year-old had a baby, a little boy. His name is
Congratulations.
Ashton. Thank you. And so I had my grandbaby all weekend. Like, he is just so.
Okay.
Yes, it is just.
That love is different, ain't it?
It is, and it's so much better when when you can give the baby back, the kids back to their parent.
Yeah.
But no, it's just. I was like, I just thank God, for the journey that He had brought me through.
Let's just say that baby's gonna be spoiled.
He is already. I done pushed the boys out the way. Y'all grown.
It's my baby.
Turn. Yes. So Kenyetta, so who cares? Do you, who cares for you? When you're going through something, or would you like to share anything with us in regards to who cares?
Yeah. So when you came to me with the topic, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
I had a chance to think about it, and I was kind of like, okay, what can I talk about? And I realized that topic in itself has really spoken very, very personally to my journey this last, I'm going to say almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I've just kind of completed a journey that it really speaks to that subject, who cares? Let me just tell a little bit about myself. I was raised in Camden, New Jersey, till I was 17. I moved to Ohio to go to school and college for 4 years at Wilberforce University. I ended up staying in Ohio, moved to Dayton, and I have been in Dayton, Ohio for the last 16 years. But I recently relocated to Richmond, Virginia, which I'm there now. So when I think about that subject, who cares? In the last couple years since I've been in Richmond, I've had to find, I'm going to say my people, so to speak, the people
Right.
that I feel cares for me, because I went through a journey that was kind of unexpected. I moved here to just get a fresh start. I had a few family members here, and I stayed with them for a little bit. And it was just, I needed a fresh start. I had so many things happen. I'm a divorced mother. I have 2 kids from that marriage. And so when I moved to Virginia, it was like, hey, I just need to figure out my way in life, because what I was doing, it wasn't working. I was a single mother of 2 kids. Their dad lived in another state, and I won't go into all of the details, but
Right.
I had a hard journey trying to raise those kids in Ohio with no family. So when I moved back to the East Coast, it was to be closer to family, build those relationships back again that I had with close friends and things like that. And in the middle of my journey and starting over, having to find a job, having to find a good stable means of home, and resources to make sure that once my kids, because they stay back with their father. And so once my kids got to Virginia, I wanted to make sure that I was nice and set up. So in the middle of my journey, again, I won't go into details because the details are really sometimes are not what we need to hear, but it's the big picture. So I ended up having to, go through a custody battle to get them back, to move here with me. And it was one where I desperately leaned on people to help me with questions and things that I didn't understand and why I was going through this. And it got to the point where I felt even my sanity was being taken from me because here I am, this mother trying to make myself and my life better for my children. And I'm having to restart all over and fight to make sure that I could have my kids once I'm, reach the goals that I thought that I wanted to reach. So I got to a place where I got desperate, and I started to, reach out to different people that knew me and, ask for help and how I should go about this situation. And, just I needed a lot. And at one point in time, I felt like I was in that all alone and that nobody cared for me and that nobody understood truly what it was that I needed. At times, I didn't even understand what it was that I was going through. And so I didn't know what I needed. But I got to a place where I just became so debilitated from the situation to where I sought help. I actually did reach out to a mental health professional, and I started to talk about what I was experiencing. There were times where, and I didn't share this with a lot of people, but there were times where I could be out in public and I see some kids and I would break down and cry and I couldn't even stay in the store because I would, it would be that much pain that I was going through this. So I had to learn how to cope with what I was going through. I had found a wonderful job that was some big shoes to fill, and I had to still show up every day. But my mental health was being tested on every side because I'm like, is this worth it? Should I give up and just go back and try to work it out? Or should I continue to fight for what it is that I wanted to achieve for me and my children? Right. So, you know, at one point in time, I shut down and I just thought that I just needed to figure out the solutions myself. And, I would talk to this therapist and she ended up telling me that I was diagnosed with something called situational anxiety. And, that was a terminology I had never heard before, meaning that, anxiety can be brought on by your external situations or experiences. You could be just fine, but something happens and it triggers your nervous system to start to react to what's happening, And so I did go through that. So I was diagnosed with that. And, once I finished up the program, because I did like a good, I think it was maybe four months of it. And, we talked about it and she told me she felt like I was doing better. And so then I changed the type of therapy that I have now, because I still do therapy. It's just life coaching, helping me navigate through different situations. Because fast forward, in that time that I was going through all of that, I allow God to order my steps, because when I felt like I didn't know what to do or who to turn to, I started to look on Facebook for groups and things around me. And I reached out to like different organizations that I felt were positive. So, for example, I run with a group sometimes in Richmond called We Off the Couch. And it's a really motivational running group that runs through the city of Richmond, and they motivate you. And it's more about community when you're running. It's not about how fast you go. He usually says your race, your speed, your pace, your race. And so they're with you the whole time, cheering you on, and it's positive. And so when I thought that the people that I knew that were closest to me, and I got a lot of great people in my life, I've got those people that I can go to and say, hey, I really just need an ear. So I found my tribe in the midst of all of that. I found
That's
the people
good.
that, the ones that I thought were going to be there or really like in my corner. It was not them.
Yeah.
It was strangers. It was new people. It was some old, some new, but mostly strangers. Like I reached out and found groups where I can network with, other entrepreneurs and things like that. Even to people on my job has been a help. So my advice to anybody that might be going through something and is just questioning, who can they turn to, is first and foremost realize that you cannot do it by yourself.
Right.
And that
That's
was
true.
one thing that I had to really tell myself, because I'm naturally a person that just gets things done myself. I've never had to, really lean too much on anybody to motivate me to do something, right? So I'm a doer. I'm going to get it done by any means necessary. But there are times where we need a support system, where we're going through situations where we may need help, and it's not always monetary. Sometimes it's emotionally that support. So I have, I just want to encourage that person that might be going through something to just branch outside yourself and realize that God has all kinds of resources, and social media is huge nowadays. Like,
Right.
there are so many resources on social media, groups that you can join. I mean, I even found a jump rope club of women who jump rope together,
Yeah.
and I mean, so many things. And these women are so supportive, and they're the nicest women I could have ever met in my life. And and again, it just, you got to realize that going through something, you gotta be willing to reach outside of yourself, because there are things and people around that might not necessarily be the people who've known you all your life, or the friend that you thought you was going to have. It's sometimes it's looking outside of yourself. So I know that was a bit of a long answer, but
No.
that literally, in
Yeah.
the end, my kids will be home on June 1st.
Okay.
It's been a year and
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a year and a half of a battle with that, but I had to really like lean on others during this journey, and it wasn't always easy. Like I said, I didn't know what I was going through, so sometimes I couldn't voice or express what it was that I needed from people. But in the end, I realized those ones who really did care for me, and they're still here, and I'm grateful for my whole team, and everybody knows who they are, but the ones who really supported me and who are still here and rooting me on, it means a lot. So yeah.
You know what? You said a lot, and
I,
it's something, but that's a good thing because a lot of people are not open to talk about, the things that they're going to because it's like, who can I trust? And,
exactly. That
or,
was another factor I found. I found out the hard way
yeah,
sometimes that everybody didn't care about what I was going through,
right.
or it wasn't their problem, so they didn't embody it. And I'm the kind of person where if somebody comes to me about something, I'm gonna I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna feel it because you feel it, and
Right.
not everybody cares that much. So you gotta have discernment too on who you can truly trust, and know that they're gonna make it safe for you, and be there when you need them.
Yeah. And it's
Dependable.
something, like growing up, and you have, let's say you start off with a group of friends and, oh, we going to be together, we going to do this, that, and, just all of this stuff together. Kids going to grow together and everything. And then as you get older, each one of us have our own lives. And so we separate, and sometimes you got the friends that, remain, but then you have the ones that's not there anymore. You know what I mean? And it's okay because as we elevate, God began to remove people out of our lives. You know what I mean? And just like you had
Right.
mentioned, while you were going through what you were going through, God sent you new people. You
That's
know,
right.
and sometimes, not sometimes, but I feel like that's needed because when you're going through something, if a person know your story and know your journey, your journey,
Mm,
what you done been through, they look at it
right.
like, oh, she going through this again. So
Right. Right.
yeah, you need somebody that's not biased to what you're going through, and just and not judging you for over the things
And I
that you're going
also
through.
realized too, like, not everybody they're not lifelong friends,
Yeah,
or they're not meant to be in your life for your
yeah,
entire life. And then when you accept that and you understand that, you really see like, hey, God wants me to have the perspective that he can use anything or anybody, to get me where I'm going.
right.
And so, with all of that being said, it kind of like put something in me now, because I went through something so traumatic. I would describe it, because it was all just, it was a lot at one time. Trying to start my life over and fight for my children. It it created something in me that once I got through it, I'm like, man, I know there are people out here that just really need help,
Yeah.
whether it's a sitter and a night out just to get their mind off of being a mom, because that was my thing. I was exhausted from being a mother. I needed time to just reset and refocus, and I think every mother needs that.
Yeah.
So I've actually each of the neighborhoods, because I've lived in two different neighborhoods since I moved to Richmond. I've actually put out posters to the neighborhood just to say, hey, if you need a little light cleaning, if you need a meal prep dinner, or if you need a sitter, or you want to learn a new skill, because I can do so many different things. So I just offered my services as something to just do, and so I'm working on a nonprofit organization. It's called Second Chances. And the reason I named it that is because I felt like, when I went through what I went through, it was like a second chance to get things, to do life differently and do it right. Not to say that I wasn't on the right path, but sometimes we go through things as a child that kind of like influences us to end up somewhere we never should have been, right? So then when you finally realize, okay, I should be going in this direction, it's almost like another start, another journey to do something different than you've ever done. And so I'm at a point in my life where I want to help people to see that they have another chance. I want to give resources, or even be a part of the resources, to where I can, point people in the right direction when they're looking for a home, or if they're looking for childcare, because life is stressful nowadays, right? And
Right.
so I wanna bring people together for engagements, and just I'm just at a point where I know that there are people out there that if you just spread some kindness, it could change their perception on life. And so I'm focusing on that right now. It's not all the pieces aren't together yet, but I've been working on my vision for it. And so with going through all of this and seeing that I found so many resources and help to get me through what I was going through, I want to now be that person to say, hey, somebody does care. Somebody is thinking about what you might need and you don't have it. And so, yeah, I kind of just offer different services that I feel people need, or, just from my own experience. So, yeah.
Well, listen, I really wish you was here in Dayton, because I need
I
help
know.
cleaning. No, I'm just playing. It's like, oh my goodness. I work from home.
Girl, I had so much time on my hands,
Oh, gosh, I
going
need
from
some
being
of
a
that time.
mom to not being
Yeah,
a mom for
yeah.
a whole almost 2 years.
You had to find
It's helped me to find and discover things about myself that I actually enjoyed doing. And that's another part of the who cares. Like, do we care about ourselves enough
Right. Well,
to
you know
where
what?
hey, I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, there's a lot of stuff I thought I needed people for that I absolutely can do myself. And when you learn about how capable we are of loving ourselves and giving ourselves, even if it's the way we talk to ourselves, sometimes we want to hear good job from other people, or we want to. I'm telling you, it's so many things that I have learned to give myself that I thought I needed from other people. So, that's
you-
another thing.
I believe, that is why, God allows us, to go through the things that we go through, because he put his toughest soldiers on the front line of the battlefield, right? And even though it'd be like, oh my God, like, God, please let up off of me just a little bit. This is too heavy. But God promised us that he will not give us more than we can bear. And we just got to continue to call on him, right? But I find that it's so amazing how he would move us to different territories, because it's like what God had for us, what God had for me may not be here in Dayton, Ohio. It may be somewhere else. And he just sent us to different territories. But not only, when he sent us to different territories, sometimes when he sent us to different territories, we have nobody but him,
Yep. And yourself.
and yourself. And it's just quiet.
You gotta trust that he gave you
Yeah.
all of the tools and the skills. It's like I like to compare it to like an artillery belt, where you have all of your different sets of tools from your life that you've collected, right? You got your hammer, you got your screwdriver, you got your your wrench, you got your nails, you got your, all of your different tools, but it's for different things. You've been, so sometimes we neglect the very thing that God has given us
Yeah.
within ourselves,
Yeah.
the gifts and the skills and the way we think. I mean, he has uniquely, intricately put us together so detailed to where if we just trust that the source knew what he was doing when he made us,
Mm-hmm.
that we could do whatever it is that we want, we put our heart and our minds to. So that was another thing. Going through all of that, I realized, like, I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wiser than I thought I was. I have more. I'm more useful than I thought I was. Like, you start to question when you go through something that is hard in life. You you have to go through it to get to that next place in your life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
of course, if you're going to another level in your life and God is elevating you, you're not going to, sometimes some people are not going to stay around, right? So we're
Right.
going back to who cares.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the people's faces are going to be different than, because different levels, different people are needed, different skills, different types of people. So you're not going to always have the same set of people around you when you need it. But overall, you want to always trust in the abilities that God has given you to use to navigate this life. So I think, as a believer, I, we're taught that God, but I don't believe God wants us to neglect the fact that everything we need is tucked down on the inside of us. He's already put it in us, and he just wants us to tap into those abilities and use them to create change here in the earth.
Well,
You
yeah.
know?
And also, I was thinking about this too. Um, God bless people. Like so often people put God in a box, right? Because we go to church and everything. We depend on God, and we praying, we fasting and everything. But sometimes we need to go and talk to somebody else, like a therapist. You know, there's nothing
Exactly.
wrong with it. Me, I done started going to talk to a therapist. Just to have somebody to talk to, and oh my goodness, every time I go and talk to my therapist, I feel so much better. And it's amazing to me how they're able to pull something out of you that you didn't even know was there. And it's just something so simple, and
And
it's like,
and I think the reason that is because you could talk to somebody like myself that knows you and knows a little bit about your story,
mm-hmm,
and I'm already going to have somewhat of a biased opinion about, okay, Artina, I know her as this person, or Kenyetta as this person, but these people don't know us, right?
right,
So they're taking professional and proven results that has helped other people like us. These are unbiased opinions, so they
mm-hmm,
don't, it's not like they're not categorizing us. They're
right,
literally using the professional field, and like I said, things that were already proven to help others. That's the reason why it feels so good, because it's like, hey man, it's a prescription that is unbiased.
right,
They're not asking you questions, or they really just let you kind of get out what it is that you're feeling, and before you
mm-hmm,
know it, you end up answering your own questions.
yeah,
That's kind of how I feel when I talk to my therapist. They'll ask me a few questions, and I'll talk, and I'll say, how I feel, and then it makes me realize, like, well, I just answered my own question. Like, that's what I need to be doing. They'll
mm-hmm,
just ask me something subtle, like, so what do you think a solution to that problem is? And I'll give my own solution, and before
right,
you know it, I'm taking my own. So it's really just, it's just taking, having a conversation with somebody
mm-hmm,
that doesn't know you and can't come up with opinions to pivot their questions from. Their questions aren't biased.
yeah,
It's just based off of research that has helped other people. So I'm all for therapy, and it doesn't
me
always
too.
have to be a Christian counselor
No,
or therapist,
yeah,
because even sometimes, and God knows I love God, like, right, but it's sometimes even Christian counsel, it is for a certain, it's in a box, right? Like, there's gonna be scriptures. Some people need something outside of that. Sometimes a practical solution
mm-hmm,
is what I like to call it. Something that you can practice, practically every single day, that it doesn't make you feel like you if you don't do it, God's gonna be upset with you. No,
right,
it's just living from day to day and understanding we have to be practical as well as spiritual. I mean, the Bible does say something about, being so spiritual minded, but no earthly good.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a balance of being spiritual minded and loving God and trusting God and having that relationship with God. But you also have to be able to use the wisdom and all of the practical things that you study or that you hold to. You got to be able to use it practically. So it's always good to get professional help or counseling because it helps you to find practical solutions day in and day out, outside of God's word, which is
Mm-hmm.
what we do stand by. But again, I'm all for just the ability to know that you have all you need inside of you. And sometimes it's looking within yourself and then realizing that God put you right where you need to
Yeah.
be. And he's going to send the resources. He's going to send the people. He's going to send everything that you need to get you to your next level. And when you have that trust and confidence in that, I'm telling you, it's nothing you cannot do. I am so blessed. I'm so happy with where my life is now,
And that's
like not to
good.
say that I wasn't, but I had to go through those necessary struggles and that journey to realize like, man, I could do anything if I just trust myself and I trust the gifts that God put in me,
And
you
sometimes we
know?
feel stuck. Like, okay, I'm stuck right here.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel like I'm
telling
not
you.
getting anywhere, and
Yeah. Oh my God. Growth is not linear. And I seen that today somewhere. I can't remember,
mm-hmm.
but I also I understand that so much now
Mm-hmm.
because you think it's just going like in a straight line.
Yeah.
Sometimes growth is like you're going straight up, and then something makes you bear to the right, and
Yeah.
then you come back to the straight line, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
up again, and then something makes you bear to the left,
Yeah.
and then you come back, and then you keep going. So
Or
it's
you
kind
fall
of like,
down,
yeah, and then you got to start back
You got
over
to start
again,
back
right?
over. Yeah.
So, oh my God, so
Yeah.
growth is not something that we can determine on how it's going to look, but
Mm-hmm.
just know that like over time those situations help you to grow
Yeah.
because you'll realize you're not even thinking the way you used to think.
Mm-hmm.
You're not speaking the way you used to speak. You're not around the same kinds of people that you used to be. Like the things that used to matter to you don't matter anymore. I'm telling you, I don't really my relationships now with people, like I have a bunch of friends that I've known my whole life, and as I was going through what I like to call my butterfly stage, my metamorphosis stage from a caterpillar to a butterfly, I struggled even with my friendships. Like I could invite friends to talk and they'd be like, Kenyette, we thought you was crazy. Because I struggled.
Yeah.
No, really, because I was going through something and I just wanted people to understand what I was going through. But there were times where I didn't even understand it. So my perspectives were messed up. That growth was ugly. It was like this transformation. God had to get me alone and by myself to show me who I'm supposed to be every single day and for the rest of my life. He had to show me the flaws about myself. He had to show me all of the good things about myself so that I can learn to take those weaknesses and turn them into strengths and really like be compassionate with myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you, like this journey, the who cares thing was spot on because it was like I had to learn to care for myself. I had to even trust the care that was there. I had trust issues out the wazoo from childhood relationships. These are all things that God had to pull out the box and say, Kenyette, I'm undoing everything that you've ever known. And I want you to just lean and trust on me
Yeah.
that I'm going to get you through this, but you
Mm-hmm.
got to be willing to do something different that you've never done before. And I had to lean on others. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that, Artina. I wanted to lean in my own little bubble and figure this out. And God will put people. Let me tell you this quick story. A year ago, I met this lady in Walmart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before I even knew how long my custody case was going to go. I didn't know it was going to go almost a year and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in Walmart. This lady, she's looking for iodized salt. And she's like, do you know what iodized salt is? And I'm like, no, but we can Google it. So we Google it and we looked on the shelves and we found it. She said her daughter needed it. And we start talking. And she casually mentions that she has a daycare, an in-home
Oh,
daycare.
wow.
And I'm just like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. You said, and I'm like, at this point, I knew I was going through what I was going through, but I had no idea how long I was going to know before my kids would come back home to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got her number. Here it is a year later. I just reconnect with this lady. She still has this daycare. And it was so hard trying to get her to respond over the year while I was going through everything, because I couldn't give her definite dates. I just kind of kept keeping her up with speed, telling her where I was with everything. And I moved twice since I've been here in Richmond. Do you know I ended up moving 5 minutes from this lady? So
See.
it was like the pieces reconnected themselves. Like my life was so scattered everywhere, and I didn't know I had a resource for this there, just kind of waiting for me to. And now that I'm coming back to where, okay, in 14 days I'm gonna be a mom again. Everything's coming back. So it's like God just wanted me to undo everything that I knew and trust that when the time was right, he would put me back together. And oh my God, but so much better than what I was. So I just want to encourage anybody that's going through anything that might seem traumatic, or you might not understand what you're going through. First and foremost, know that you have everything inside of you that you need. And second of all, reach out to people on Facebook. Find groups that, I looked up stuff like dance clubs and paint groups and, just things that I felt appealed to me. And I made so many friends along the way.
Well, I even saw on Facebook you offered, what was it, hair braiding? You was showing how to braid hair.
So like I just kind of put myself out there, and I share my skills and just I'm not, I tell people all the time, like, I'm not the best guru with social media, and so sometimes I struggle with trying to create that content that everybody creates that goes viral and stuff. But when I get on social media, I'm always myself. I'm always authentic. I don't follow the trends, and I just keep on being consistent with my brand and what I'm trying to put out there, my reputation. I like to consider myself a fly mama. I'm 34 years old. I don't dress like an old lady, even though I got 2 kids. I like to look fly all the time. I've learned to love myself, and I want to help young women to be confident in themselves, no matter how many kids you got, no matter how you feel about your body, your self-esteem. Like, there's so many things that I want to share with people, but I just haven't had the platform to do so. So I'm just truly grateful that you allow me to, speak on here, and hopefully, we can get this out to people and, just encourage somebody, because I'm telling you, I needed all the help in the world last year, and I got it. And so now I just want to give back. I want to pay it forward.
Well, hey, if we could just help one person, we done did what God wanted us to do.
One person along the way.
Yeah, but that person helped somebody. Yeah. So, and you had mentioned, well, you mentioned, I forgot, hold on, because I have written
a lot
it down.
Of stuff.
I know. Oh, asking for help, right? You have to ask for help. And
oh my goodness, first, people aren't mind readers.
Right, but the first person or, that you need to ask for help is God. I can't do this. He already know our journey, before. He already know. He created us. He know what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. So we have to just sit down and be like, God, I need you. I need help. I need help, and I need you to send me the people to help me get through. Show me what it is. Yeah, show me where I need to go. What do I need to do? What do I need to say? Just send me help. Being a single mother, because I was a single mother, and I remember moving from Dayton, Ohio, to Birmingham, Alabama with my 3 sons, and they were young. I want to say they probably was 9. They all were under the age of 9. And I moved to Birmingham, Alabama because I wanted something different. But when I moved, I was trying to run away from my problems here in Dayton, Ohio. But I carried them with me in Birmingham, Alabama. So it's nothing like moving to a different territory and feeling like you're all alone. And
listen, I realize you can move as many times as you want to, but if you don't do something different, if you go into this new territory with the same, because that's literally what I had to do. Like I had to allow God to change me from the inside out. I've always been the person to make things look good, but on the inside, I am in agony. Like, I look like I got it all together, but really I'm going through distress on the inside, and so I had to learn that it mattered more what I was like on the inside than what people saw. And once my inside started to be changed and rearranged, and just my actions, my thoughts, my emotions, everything. I mean, literally, God had to take all of my old ways of
Yeah, had
thinking
to
and
strip you.
patterns and behavior,
Yeah.
strip me of all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and just say, here I am. Take me as I
Yeah.
am. I don't care what
Surrender
people
it.
say.
Yeah.
This is who I am, Lord, and I know you love me this way, and this is who I'm going to be. And so
Mm-hmm.
every day I make it a thing to wake up and look myself in the mirror and talk to myself, encourage myself, and be authentically Kenyetta every single day. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Because of all of that, I was able to from excuse me, Dayton, Ohio to Richmond, Virginia, and use all of the stuff that made me who I was, and start this new life, start over from scratch and become a new person. I knew I had to do it differently. I could not take the same mentality that I had in Dayton and even in Jersey, being raised in Jersey. That was my foundations. I had to rearrange everything because it was like, okay, now I'm around different kinds of people. I'm different to them. They're different to me. How do I make this work? Do I stand out like a sore thumb, or do I try to blend in and find my way? Well, I just had to be okay with standing out like a sore thumb. And
Mm-hmm.
before I knew it, people were embracing me
Yeah.
as somebody, welcoming me, doing not people were just doing nice, kind things for me. They knew what I was going through. I had people help me with little events that I had when I catered certain things, or if I, cooked for an event or something like that. They would just want to help, just to help. I ended up running into two old college friends that I didn't even know they lived here.
Oh,
And
wow.
so ended up reconnecting. So it's like
Mm.
God literally placed people here to already be there when I needed it. And so I always tell you, if you want to do something, sometimes it's taking the first step. God just
Taking
wants
them.
you to take the first
And
step,
that's it.
and he got you the rest of the
He
way.
sure do.
So yeah, so don't be afraid to move.
Mm-hmm.
Because all you got to do is take all of the skills and the things that you've learned over time and just utilize them and do something different. You can't, if it didn't work in Oklahoma and it didn't work in Texas, it ain't gonna work in Massachusetts either.
Right.
I'm just giving an example, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna work. So you gotta change it up. And so what I did to change the course and the direction of my life is I trusted that the process that I was going through was necessary. I accepted it as something God wanted me to go through, in
Mm-hmm.
order to get me to my next phase in life.
And he does. I was thinking how I came up with this topic, last week because I'm the go-to person. I just everybody's always coming to me, and people think that I kind of got it together, right? And I don't. None of us do. So I had started talking to a therapist about 2 months ago,
Hmm.
and just the first the therapist and I, our first time talking, she was like, "Well, Artina, you sound like you got everything good going for yourself.
Right.
And she,
That's exactly what mine said too.
I'm like,
That's
no.
so funny.
She
I
was
was like,
like,
no, I don't.
yeah, I'm like,
No, I don't.
no, I don't. And she was like, so how can I help you? And I'm like, I need to be motivated. Like God placed so much in my hands, and I just feel like I'm not motivated enough to do what God is telling me or calling me to do. And I just need that push, that motivation. I'm like, God done blessed me with a lot and still is, but he done blessed me. Years ago, I had my own talk show on the radio. I had my own talk show on television. God blessed me with publishing 2 books, and now I'm doing a podcast. And I'm like, God didn't put all of this in my hands just for it to sit, you know? It's time for me to allow the gifts that God had given me and share it. But one thing that kind of pushed me behind, and I know it's not an excuse, is COVID. Once COVID hit, I was in the house, I'm working from home, I'm comfortable, you know. But I did spend a lot of time with God, and within that time, I was able to rewrite my story, my book that I had already published. I rewrote that, and I was just, I got to know God on a more deeper and spiritual level. You know what I mean? And I say
Hmm.
this: just because you're not in church every Sunday, you're not in Bible study every Wednesday, does not mean that you don't have a relationship with God, because he's with you wherever you go. And that's why I call this show In the Room, because God is always in the room, whatever room you're in, the courtroom, the hospital
Mm-hmm.
room, your bedroom. I mean, sometimes we don't want. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, but
We
your
don't want
living
them in
room,
there.
yeah, every room that you're in,
Shoot, he in there too.
he in there,
Okay,
he in there,
he
yeah,
in there.
he see everything,
Okay.
But and I'm like, okay, God, what direction do you want me to go with this show? Because I don't want to push people away and just make it seem like, now God is in the room, but just talking about God and not earthly things, you know.
Listen, we live in the earthly realm, and I'll be honest. When we knew each other back in the day, because we know each other for a long time,
Yeah, I
Martina.
got pictures when we were, well, I was slimmer, but yeah, I got
And I
pictures, girl.
probably was bigger. But
Yes.
so me, so you know that my foundations are heavily rooted in God. But
Yeah.
when you go through things in life, sometimes you understand that our relationship with God is, and this is just my perspective, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't, push this on anybody, but I realize my relationship with God is so important
Yeah.
with me personally. Like I consider it very sacred, and so I don't necessarily parade my relationship with God anymore.
Right.
It's more of a personal journey for me now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put that out there. Like my journey with God is like literally like my homie, like directed me every single step of the way, like,
Yeah.
and I had to listen or fall down and get back up. Like it was like personal
Mm-hmm.
accounts of God walking with me through my journey. So I tell everybody, like, if you want to do some kind of show where you want God to be the superstar, you
Yeah.
just got to make it real. You just
Yeah.
got to make it real
That's
for
it.
everybody. You got to make
Yeah.
sure everybody can relate. You don't want it to be, a show where you feel like you can't be real, because
Right.
then you're going to have a certain type of audience. So
Mm-hmm.
give anybody a chance to
Right.
speak about their truth, right? Because God can do he can do the necessary things in the midst of us just conversing, and his spirit being in the midst of us. So
Yeah.
I think that this is a wonderful platform, and I pray
Well,
and
thank
hope
you.
that it's very successful, and that it continues to grow and flourish, and you get the right people on it. And I'm just honored myself, because I feel like I ain't nobody, but I do feel like my experience makes me somebody.
Yeah, and it
So
definitely does. And your testimony is not for you. God
yep,
brought
it's
you
for
through
somebody
it. It's
else.
for somebody else.
That's right.
Another
It's
young girl
for
that's going through the same, that's going to listen to this show, that's going through the same thing that you're going through, can listen to your story and say, okay, God do hear me. God hear my prayers, or God is with me, because sometimes I'm not going to, sometimes we can feel like God is not there. Like, okay, God, where are you? I'm in this. I'm calling on you. Where are you? I don't feel you. I haven't even seen any signs or wonders. That sometimes that's how we feel, but God is always there. So your story, Kenyetta, is going to bless somebody else.
that's
Not
right.
not only one, but many. Because if you touch one person, that person touch another person, then hey, you done did what God wanted you to do in the midst of what you done been
Listen,
through.
girl, this journey, I know for a fact it ain't for me, because I'm telling you, it pushed me outwards, and I'm such a introverted individual, and I like to be by myself, and it pushed me outwards.
Yeah.
It
It
helped me
takes you out your
discover
comfort zone.
another person, just aspect of who I am.
Yeah.
It pulled something else out of me that I didn't know what was in me, and so
Mm-hmm.
now when I meet younger ladies, I'm always just trying to keep them on the positive side of things,
Yeah.
or try to steer their, like, and tell them, like, hey, if I had somebody in your shoes, well, I mean, in my shoes when I was your age, to tell me some of the things that I'm saying, I probably would be in a different place.
Yeah.
And I have a few friends that I feel like they come to me for that advice, because they're like, young, and they're trying to figure out their way through life. So,
Mm-hmm. And it's
it's
rough.
just always good. It's always good to just
Yeah.
have a support system.
Yeah.
I can't say that enough. Like, we cannot do this by ourselves.
Yep.
We
And
can't.
listen, who's ever listening, ask for help. You
Ask for
know,
help.
ask for help.
Find those support groups.
Yes.
Go on Facebook and just look up things that you like to do. And I'm telling you, there's a group for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, local
TikTok.
events. I do a lot of local events as
Mm-hmm.
well, like where I'll just look up and see what's going on in the community around me. Now I know Dayton and Richmond are a little different. It's so much stuff going on here, but if you go on Facebook and you just look in the local events, there's just so many things that you can find that you never probably would have even known that you can get some support or some help from.
Yeah. I mean, it's out there. And then also, a lot of employers, they're offering,
Yeah.
because everyone went through something with this pandemic that happened. And, you got just watching the news every day is something that's going on. So employers are offering help to their employees. So maybe you might want to contact your employer and ask them, about going to talk to somebody, as far as a therapist, or, look it up. It's help out there. Don't go through whatever you're going through alone, and I don't know, like, where everyone's spiritual relationship is, but call on your higher power. You can't do it by yourself. You
That's
can't.
right.
You cannot do it alone. And Kenyette, I just want to thank you so much, and I'm happy to see your growth, because
Oh, thank you.
you and I have an age difference.
Yeah.
I have.
Girl. Look, already. You already know. I've been through some things, boy, and a lot of it is just learning from your mistakes,
Yeah.
man. I seriously just don't keep going in circles. Don't keep doing the same things over and over, because you half the time you be the problem and you don't even know
Exactly.
it.
You don't even know it. And sometimes your friends won't even tell you, like, girl, you the
Won't
problem,
even tell you.
or
That
maybe.
goes back to who cares.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
think about the people around you. Do they care about your growth?
Yeah.
And that's becoming a thing more now. I know me personally, I don't want people around me that really don't, like, I would rather you tell me the truth and and hurt my feelings than to be fake and like let me do some things that are not good for me.
Right. Mm-hmm. And
Yep.
that plays a big part in who we're hanging around.
That's right.
Sometimes we outgrow people. It's like, okay, I don't, and it doesn't mean that you're being judgmental towards those people that you used to do the same thing that they're doing with. It doesn't mean that. It just means that, God done separated you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know, as for myself, I used to hang around people, and we used to go out to the club, and, and even while being in church, going out to the club and maybe drinking. I don't like, my drinks have to be mixed with something if I do drink, but, and not drinking to get drunk. You know what I mean? But just going out and having drinks and stuff. But God is like, that ain't what I got for you. That's not what I have for you. Not saying that I don't do it now on occasions. You know what I mean? But you just have to be sober minded when you do it, and it's okay. But
Right.
just because you don't do some of the things that you used to do with the people that you used to do it with does not mean that you're looking at that person and you judging them. It means that
That's right.
God done took you in another direction.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
You just no longer resonate with that lifestyle, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, even relationships, I'm not going to say husband and wives, but sometimes husband and wives, or boyfriend, girlfriend, sometimes you outgrow that person.
And you know what? I also realized too, the relationships that we do have and we do want to cultivate, those relationships I like to compare to a rubber band. And the reason I say that is because relationships are They're like they stretch and then they come back together. They, like, when you really want to cultivate the relationships that you have to understand that there's up and there's downs. And so the right ones are worth going through that stretching and that coming back together and that stretching, because what's happening is you all are growing, in
Yeah.
different directions, and sometimes navigating your growth together can be challenging, right? But some people it's worth it, and in others you just got to know where the investment is not worth it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I live my life now.
Yeah.
If it's worth it and it's somebody that makes me better, but we just have personality differences that,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when they're going through something, they're a little different than I am. That's okay.
Yeah.
I still know that person is there for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it's somebody that you're going to always know within yourself if a person is supposed to be around. I always say, listen to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
listen to God, listen to yourself. And you always get that feeling when you know somebody really cares, or if they don't,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Or if somebody
So
is in your circle and they look like, even though you going through what you going through, they can't stand you. You know?
you know it.
Yeah, you
And
can
and,
feel
and
it.
it just be up to us to face
Yeah.
that rejection and be okay with
We
it,
gotta
because
be
that be the
okay.
problem. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to face the rejection of the people that we thought were supposed to be
Yeah.
our buddy for life is
Mm-hmm.
really not our buddy for life.
Yeah.
It's okay, because seasons begin and they end, and I see beginnings and endings so much different now,
Mm-hmm.
because it's things. Sometimes in order to grow, you got to start all over. You got to replant, you got to redo, and then you that's how you get a new product. You knew
Yeah.
a new outcome of a situation that has been the same for years and years and years. I don't even pick my friends the same no more. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
I create new friends and friendships, I don't even do it the same no more. I ask certain questions just because it's like, okay, depending on your answer to this question is going to tell me if we are in sync with one another's thinking. How do
Right.
you think?
Yeah.
That's what I like to know about my friends. What's your
Mm-hmm.
mentality like? You know,
Yeah.
cuz I just know I'm not a small-minded person, or I'm not like a person that can deal with negativity or just drama for no reason. There's no reason for none of that. I want to be a part of productive friendships.
Yeah. And,
The
and
ones that I know that when I'm going through something, they going to be there for me. They
exactly.
going
That's what I was about to say.
yeah.
You be there for me, just like I'm gonna be there for you. And my problem,
Yeah.
I expect me out of other people. Like the things that I would
Well,
do. This is what I had
I
to learn not to do.
yeah.
Yeah, I had to learn
Yeah, you
not to do it
can't do
because you
that.
get hurt along the way.
Mhm.
So I had to learn
Mm-mm.
not to. I had to rephrase that, not to expect myself out of other people because I'm like, I would do that for this person.
Everybody's different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Everybody's different, and so not everybody's going to do something the way you would do it,
yeah,
or
and I had to
yeah.
learn because some things is just common sense. Like you would think,
To
like
you, yeah, it's common
yeah,
sense ain't common sense.
for
It's not.
everybody, and I had to learn that, and it's okay. As you get older, you learn new things. God,
Yeah.
you learn new things, and God show you things. God show you who to keep, who to let go, and He started. I mean, He started bringing new people in your life to help you. So it's just I don't know. He just
We gonna be all right, girl. But yeah, I think to sum it all up is to say, like, get you some people that are quality, that's worth the investment,
mm-hmm.
and don't think that you have to go through life's journey by
Yeah.
yourself. God has so many resources around you, and also don't look for it to be the people that you've known. Branch out and find your tribe, find your family, because I don't know what my whole family look like, but I'm creating a new family as we speak. Every time
Okay.
I'm making friends like it's nobody's business. Why? But, at the same time, I like to say I'm not just naive out here now either,
Yeah.
right? So you use your discernment, but also you just got to realize the opportunities exist everywhere. And the more you get to know what's around you and the people around you, you find that there's a place for you in society that where you can make a difference.
Yeah.
So it's just all about being open to new things and new adventures, and not boxing yourself in, and realizing that you do have a tribe out here, but you got to be willing to open up and expand your territory.
And that is so true. And Kenyetta, I want to say thank you for being a
No
guest on
problem.
my show and sharing your story, your journey. And, Many, many prayers for you and your babies once they come home on June the 1st,
Thank you, girl. They're gonna be getting on my nerves again.
They are. So
It's
that
all
break that
right.
you
We gonna have
had.
fun. We gonna have fun. They gonna be getting on my nerves, but we gonna have a lot of fun. We got a lot of making up to do.
Well, hey, I know
Yes, we
it's
do.
exciting. The kids are, and they grow up so fast. I be looking
Oh
at my
my
boys
goodness.
like, where did time go? But and may God bless
I
you
can't
also.
believe you're a grandma now.
I can't
I can't
either.
believe it.
That's what people say. You don't look old enough to be a grandmother. I said, I don't feel. No, I don't know how a grandmother feel, but yeah, I'm just, because when you're
Oh,
younger and you talking to your grandmother or your grandfather, it's like they're older. You know what I mean? It's
right.
like, oh my God, I'm
So it's
that.
like, wow, I'm a nana. I cannot
Yes,
believe it. Yeah.
I'm that. I'm a whole grandmother. Like, and I'm
I'm not
just
thinking about that at all.
no, your baby's still young, but
Mm-mm.
it's a blessing, to be a grandmother. And I love my little Ashton. Um, um,
Oh, he's so cute.
he is adorable, girl. He's just, I don't know, he's the bomb. But may God also bless you too, Kenyetta, in your second chance
Thank you.
nonprofit. And once you get everything up and running, hey, let me know, and I can
All
bring you
right,
back
girl.
on.
All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak and just share my story. And,
You're welcome.
I hope that it blesses somebody. I hope that somebody can, take something from this and really use it to see things from a different perspective and just, have some hope that things will get better,
It
because
definitely
I
will.
tell you,
It
like I
take
said, that
time.
storm was hard, but the rainbow, I always just say, keep looking for the rainbows.
Hmm.
They'll come out. But thank you.
You're
I,
welcome.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Well, that was Kenyetta, Missouri. And I'm thankful that she came on and she shared her story and her journey with us. And I just pray that her story, help somebody else, to get out there and get the help that you need. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to go out and get you a therapist if you need to, and I know sometimes you feel uncomfortable talk to somebody that you don't know about your personal business, and that's for male, female, young, old, black, white, Mexican, Hispanic. Go out and talk to somebody. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't carry that burden alone. And I want to say thank you for listening to my podcast In the Room. And I pray that it was a blessing to you. And you just, hey, listen and watch, and give me updates. You can reach me on Facebook, on social media, Artina R. White. What else? Instagram, I believe is a planet seed on Instagram. And I just want you to know, to remember that somebody is thinking about you, somebody love you, and somebody's praying for you, okay? So let's keep it in the room, all right? Have a blessed day.